what is it that I've lost? Like, what piece of me is lost because this business has become all-encompassing, because I feel the chaos and the anxiety on the daily? What piece for you is missing? Because I can tell you, you can get it back.
All right. I'm Rebecca Hay, and I've built a successful interior design business by trial and error, podcasts, online courses, and so many freaking books. Over the last decade, I've grown from an insecure student to having false starts to careers, and now I'm finally in the place where I want to be. Throughout my journey, it's been pretty obvious that I'm passionate about business and helping other entrepreneurs do the same. Each week, I'll share tangible takeaways from my own experience and the experiences of other badass women to help you build your confidence and change your business.
All right, guys, welcome to a new season of Resilient by Design. Can you freaking believe it? Summer is almost over. Some of your kids are already going back to school. I took a break from podcasting this summer. I thought, you know what? Everyone is kind of doing their thing in the summer. I will be honest with you, our podcast downloads always take a dip in the summer. And so I thought, why not embrace this slower time, this seasonality of this business, to just slow down and reflect on, where do we want to take this? What's going on? And I'm going to share in a minute with you some real numbers from behind the scenes in my business. I have decided to go off script. I'll make sure I hit some of the key points that we wanted to touch on. There's my laptop right in front of me, but I don't know. I just feel like I need to shake things up a little bit. And if you're anything like me, if you're an entrepreneur, you are multifaceted, you're multi-passionate. You guys know that I shifted from being, an actress in Vancouver to going back to school for design while I managed an Earl's restaurant, to then working for a luxury interior designer in Toronto, to then launching my own business, kicking that off, working in HGTV, then building and scaling my business past 7 figures and a team of 6+ people, to then shifting to podcasting and online courses, and now moving entirely into coaching. Like, I'm always shaking and I'm always moving and I'm always changing. And that's okay. And I feel like the best signal, when it's time to shake things up and change, is when you start to feel like you dread what you do. And I'm not saying that I dread doing the podcast, but I started to reach like a creative block. And things were a little bit more scripted. My team was supporting me, right? So the whole idea is that as you grow, you lean on your team. But what I realized I was losing was that sort of the creativeness. It's not even a word, is it? I was craving the spontaneity of it all. That's how it all started. It was literally me in my spare bedroom during COVID, sitting at my desk. It had been the nursery, kicked my daughter out to go share a room with her brother, and I turned the nursery back into an office. And it was just me with maybe a rough outline and just talking and sharing behind the scenes of the business. And then over time, it became a little bit more serious and intentional, and it became a tool to drive business growth, which is great because so many of our listeners end up taking our programs and go on to have incredible success in their business. And that is still the goal. The podcast is your free wisdom. Take what you learn on the podcast, implement it. And when you're ready to seriously invest in your business, to go to the next level as a professional, my programs are there. But by treating it like a business, it started to feel less fun. And I know many of you can relate to that. And I think summer moving into summer, it gets highlighted because that's supposed to be your time where you get to unwind. If you have kids, your kids are off school, you want to go on family trips, you want to be outside, enjoying the warmer weather, especially if you live in a cold climate like I do. And it can become really apparent that work can feel like a drag. And that, to me, is not why I signed up for entrepreneurship. That is for someone who is working a 9-to-5, who has a boss and has no control. And so I say this because I know that when I share what I'm going through, there's always someone who can relate. When you start to feel like it's work, that's part of the plan, right? That's part of growing a business, but you need to recognize it and then carve out the time and space to get back to what you love. And I know there's a lot of designers and decorators out there who are a few years into doing this, who are feeling the pains of the feast or famine, who are feeling frustrated because of the invoicing and dealing with the really crazy idiosyncratic, I don't know, is that the word? Client requests, right? Or you're tired of hiring and that person doesn't work out. And it's like, oh, I'm so bad at this. It's so frustrating. And you start to lose the joy of walking through the Kravitz showroom, looking at all the new designs, getting excited about something that you see at High Point, or seeing something on Instagram and thinking, oh, I'm going to incorporate that into my next project. Or, spending hours on Pinterest, putting ideas together. You get kind of into treating it so much like a business that you forget why you even started in the first place. And I think that's when things start to, air quotes, fail. Now, bear with me here. I'm not trying to be negative, but I do want to share something. I have found myself over the recent months feeling like, oh, this year just feels broken. And now I'll be honest, it's more about shit that's going on in my personal life. It really is not so much to do with business. But at the same time, my personal life has spilled into my business and it's felt harder. And it will also feel harder if you aren't really spending time doing the things that you love. And the biggest eye-opener for me, one second, let me take a sip of my tea. The biggest eye-opener for me that I had gotten too far away from why I started this business in the first place. And when I say business, I mean this business coaching, online coaching for designers, was when I had my mastermind in-person event here in the studio in June. And I freaking loved it. Like loved, like insane. And my inner circle, for those who don't know, or if you're new here, is the high-level mastermind that I have. It's 9 months. We are currently, if you're listening to this in real time, we're currently accepting applications for the next cohort. The cohort starts in October. It runs from October to June. And there are in-person events as part of that. And when we did it the first cohort was this past cohort, and we ended with a 3-day event here in Toronto. And I cannot tell you how much it lit me up. I have never felt, that's not true, not never, but it's been a long time since I felt so lit up doing my thing that I got home at the end of a very long day, energized, calm. I felt fulfilled. I felt satisfied. My team showed up for me. They were doing their thing, allowing me to just show up and be the coach and mentor that I love to be. And as soon as that event was over, I realized I need to do more of this. I need to get back to how this started. And I remember sharing with Charmaine on my team, I said, you know what I realized? This whole online business and power of process and Designer's Room and these programs and the podcast, it all started with me organizing in-person meetups in Toronto. It was 2018, and I just wanted to get people together. And for the very first time, I put out a post on Instagram and a few stories. And I said, hey, if you're an interior designer and decorator in Toronto and you want to get together and just talk shop, it's like a no trades allowed in a place where you're not being sold to. We're going to go to this bar in my neighborhood on this date. I think it was like a Thursday night from like 7 to 9, I said, just show up. There's nothing's provided. You don't have to pay anything, but I'm not supplying food or drink or anything. Just show up so that you can be in conversation with designers. And I just talked about it on Instagram. I did not have an email list at that point other than my newsletter for my design clients. And like 40 plus people showed up. And I realized, oh my God, others are craving this. And I kept doing these and I started to do them monthly. And then it shifted to online in the pandemic. But in June, I realized, oh shoot, I have been designing this business around scaling and business. And I will tell you, I feel like I made a mistake, but I know we learn from everything. And I'm going to share that mistake with you in a minute because I think there's something to learn from it. But what I want to do right now is give you a minute to think about, what is it that I've lost? Like, what piece of me is lost because this business has become all-encompassing, because I feel the chaos and the anxiety on the daily? What piece for you is missing, because I can tell you, you can get it back. That is the whole point of having systems and process to run your business. You need to set it up in a way so that you are allowed the creative freedom to do what you do best, so you're not bogged down in the busy work. And I know so many of you are wearing all of the hats. Even if you have a little bit of help, you might even have an assistant or two, but you still feel overwhelmed. Like, the buck stops here, you're the bottleneck. And I just want to tell you, we can get you back to that feeling, but we have to be intentional. And this is what I'm doing. And so I encourage you to join me on this journey of intentionality to get back to the things that light us up, because actually that's even where the money is. That's where the joy is. It is, though, sometimes about looking where we've kind of gone astray. So I realized in June that, wow, I just want to do this all the time. I realize, though, logistically that feels overwhelming, and I'm not an event planner. And does everyone even want to come to Toronto? What about Americans who don't have a passport? And a huge portion of our audience, I would say the majority of our audience, is in the US. And I love my American women. They're the frickin' best. I love my Canadians too, don't worry. And so I'm trying to figure out, and I don't have it solved yet, but in everything I do now, I'm asking myself, is this actually what I enjoy? Because I know that when I'm doing what I love, I'm even better at it. So for you in your business, what is the thing that you love? What is it that the reason you started this business? What is it? And are you doing it to your satisfaction? Because chances are, if you're a few years in, you're not fully doing what you're doing. If you're listening to this podcast and you are looking for business support and advice, you haven't figured it out yet, and that's okay. We're all on this journey together. Okay, so let me talk about the mistakes or the failure. Over the past few years, as this incredible community has grown, and we've actually served more than 1,000 interior designers and decorators through our programs, I have started to feel like burnout city, in the sense of, it's the model that I have or have had has been launching Power of Process twice a year, maybe 3 times a year. And it's all culminating. And there's so much work behind the scenes that you don't see, making sure the tech's set up. If we're going to do a boot camp or we've got a workshop, and what am I going to teach? What's the takeaway? Let's build the worksheets. And then let's set everything up so that people can enroll in our programs. And what does that look like from a delivery standpoint? How many Zooms am I doing? It's a lot of Zooming. A lot of Zooming, which I'm getting a little zoomed out, I'm not going to lie. And so last year, and you guys know I've shared this in the podcast, I shared this earlier this year, I had this idea that I was going to semi-retire my Power of Process program so that I could build a more sustainable, air quotes, business model. And I modeled after my mentor, Amy Porterfield. I've been in her mastermind now for 3 cohorts. It's an incredible mastermind with really savvy women, entrepreneurs. I'm like, I am going to put everything into one program. It's called Designer's Room. That's where I'm going to include Power of Process. People can learn it. People can, I can support them on the 4 pillars of business, right? Because the business lands on 4 pillars. It's about process and systems, leadership, marketing, and finance. And there's so much more than just having a process. And what we found is our students come through Power of Process and they're like, we want more support. So I thought, let's just throw it all into one program. The problem was that it was a lot, but it is so fantastic, but nobody knows about it. It's relatively new. And so I realized I was sort of throwing away the thing that I was known for in favor of, I just want to do 1 or 2 workshops a month. None of this big launch bullshit. Sorry for those whose children are in the car. BS. None of this big launch BS. And all the stress that comes with it and all of that. And I just want to be more consistent. And on a monthly basis, we're going to run a workshop and people can join our program. But here's the thing. This is also now the end of my first fiscal year where I have not had a design project. My revenue has solely been based on coaching. And I've taken a hit. You guys know that in my interior design business, even in my last year running design projects, I was generating more than 7 figures. And so this year has been a bit of a wake-up call because I literally did not realize I was doing this. I've basically started from scratch. I feel like I am in a brand new business. Everything I teach designers, I'm like having to reteach myself. And like maybe I shouldn't be sharing all of this, but this is what I do. I'm very candid. My team doesn't even know I'm sharing all these details. So oops, sorry. But you know, it's been sobering. And it's brought me back to the beginnings of, okay, let's get our frickin' process set up. Is this model really sustainable? And then what I realized is that by doing Zoom workshops or whatever they are, whatever platform we use every month, I've just felt like I was on a hamster wheel, showing up online, staring at a screen again, answering questions. There was no camaraderie. There was no, let's get it all together. And what I've learned is a lot of the designers coming into Designer's Room, not everyone, many of them have taken Power of Process. They had not taken Power of Process before. And so they jump into Designer's Room, and even though the program was there for them to watch, they're not watching it. And so they're asking the questions that I'm like, okay, we got to start with process. You got to start with process. And I realized there's still such a need for process education, basic organizational systems in your business before we can really tackle the hiring, the leadership, the marketing, and the finance. Finance. Ooh, finance. I sound like British there. The finance, if that makes sense. And I also realized I missed that energy of a launch. So all of these factors coming together has made me realize two things. I want to offer Power of Process again, but also I want to do in-person events for my students. So what that looks like is Designer's Room is still going strong. And if you decide to join us inside Power of Process, you will be invited to join Designer's Room. And inside Designer's Room is where we will have in-person events. And I'm going to be sharing a lot more of that with my Designer's Room community in the coming weeks. So I'm not going to spill the beans here publicly, but I cannot wait to focus my energies on doing more things in real life, but also recognize that I'm actually a bit more of a sprinter than I realize. And as much as I was getting burnt out from the launches, I think that's because that was happening in addition to also running a design business. So I was running two businesses simultaneously, and then I let one go, and then I immediately changed the business model of the second one, which was actually not smart business. I should have just tweaked it and made it fit my schedule better than throwing it all baby out the bathwater. Anyhow, I'm sharing this because we all make quote unquote mistakes. I don't believe they're mistakes. I think they're all lessons learned. I have learned so much from this year, not only about business, but about myself. And I encourage you, if you were listening to this episode today, to really give yourself like a good hard look at, am I doing the thing that really lights me up in my business? And if not, I am here and I'm going to support you. This season, we are bringing it back to the beginning. We're bringing it back to, here I am on my journey building this new business. It's not even new. I've been in business for 5 years. I mean, hey, I've been doing this for 15, but for the last 5, I've been running this online business. And I am now learning all those same lessons again. And so I plan on speaking more candidly on the podcast. We've got some incredible guests that are already recorded and about to air. You're going to freaking love them because I am here to help you level up your service offering, look more professional, look more buttoned up, because that is when you actually get your time back. That is when you actually get to breathe. It's not just being the one-off designer running around doing everything and saying yes to every client. That is actually not sustainable. I want you to have a sustainable business where you don't burn out, where you definitely consistently are producing profit, making money, and charging good fees for your service. But you need to get clear on what that service is. It's one of the things we talked about in Power of Process. And I'm really going to work with our next cohort of Power of Process to get those systems installed. And so when we bring Power of Process back, it will be in September. So keep your eyes open. We'll probably have a wait list. Maybe on my website. You can probably go to the website. I don't know if it's set up yet because I'm kind of like getting ahead of myself. I tend to do that. I'm doing something different because I remember I told you I like to shake things up. I like to like mix things up and make it different. And that's part of being an entrepreneur. And if you're an entrepreneur and you feel stuck, it's because you need to shake it up. You just need to shake it up. So this time around, I am going to deliver. Now that I'm saying it out loud live, I have to commit to this. I am going to deliver the course live. It is not pre-recorded. It is going to be a brand new, fully updated live version of Power of Process. All my designers and members, don't worry, you guys are getting invited to attend that. But it is going to be a cohort where we will work together. I'm going to get to know you on a weekly basis for 9 whole weeks. It's going to be something like I haven't done before. It's similar actually to the very first course I launched in the sense, but the difference is I actually have the curriculum. The first course I launched, the first time I did it, I didn't really know. Every week I was like, I'm going to teach this thing about marketing. It's going to be amazing. So all that to say, the podcast is where you are going to see first glimpse behind the scenes. You can watch it on YouTube. We have an entirely new YouTube look coming out. If you guys love to see things or listen to them on YouTube, I'm over there as well. So please go on over. We've been doing some fun shorts and having a little fun with YouTube. But definitely subscribe if you're not already subscribed so that you get notified when a new episode drops. They're weekly, starting today, every single freaking week. I will be in your ear, encouraging you, cheering you on. And I think that's it. Welcome to season 8 of Resilient by Design. Woo! See you soon.